Hello again, BookTube. My name's Daniel. Welcome back to my channel. Guilty feet, I've got no rhythm. And today I thought I'd do a sort of midweek muddle and let you know what's going on. So I was due to fly to London. Today's Tuesday, so I was due to fly to London on Thursday. This week I had a ticket. This was the ticket that I originally had. I was going to fly Christmas Eve and got postponed and cancelled and moved on. And for the last couple of weeks I've been locked in a game of chicken with EasyJet because when I tried to go in and change my flight, knowing that the airports in Israel were closed and there was no way I was flying to London this Thursday, EasyJet wanted to charge me to rebook the flight for a later date, and but they hadn't cancelled the flight, even though we knew the flight wasn't taking off. So I was really locked eye to eye with EasyJet in a game of chicken until finally on Friday they sent through an email 6 days before the flight was due to take off saying they cancelled the flight and I can now rebook it. So I'm still wondering whether I'm going to book it for next week or a couple of weeks after that, or wait until after Passover. And the reason I say this is because I've bought in the last, since I thought I was going in December, so from October I've been buying books and sending them to my mum's, and at the last, well, I don't want to count, but I know there are over 100 books there. I know she's opened some of them, but the rest of them, she sent me a picture of packages piled up, and it's now taller than my mother, and very disturbing to her. So eventually, when I get there, it will be the, I hesitate to say the largest book haul and unboxing in BookTube history, but I'm going to put that out there and see if anyone wants to try and beat it. In the meantime, today we are sort of post-lockdown in Israel. They're slowly opening things up. People have been vaccinated, which is everybody. I've had both my vaccinations, which is why I'm at work. I've got my little yellow band today, which I think nicely picks up the mustard in my shirt. Yeah, pure serendipity again. So they're opening up gyms. The cinemas aren't open. Some of the shops in shopping malls are open again, whereas until now it's been only supermarkets and essentials. And the little charity bookshop in my local town was open. So I paid a visit this morning and ridiculously bought some books, because I say I've got 100 books waiting for me in London, and I have, the other thing is I have said before that I'm not a big fan of hauls, so I thought I'd use the opportunity. I will talk about the books I bought, but I thought I'd use this opportunity to talk about the different way that my mind works in buying books. The beauty of buying online, as I buy most of my books online, is you can pretty much buy anything you want. This morning I went into a charity bookshop in Israel, which is a mostly non-English speaking country, although English is widely used. It so happens that I live in a town where there is a large English speaking population, and the charity shop that I went into is actually a charity shop run and staffed by volunteers that belong to an association of English speakers. And so this is these books, the entire shop is full of English language books. They have children's books, and they have the most eclectic selection, because it's based on this sort of community of expats or immigrants, whatever you want to call them, who live here, who read everything. So there is the crime, pulpy, thriller, best-selling, a couple of 50 Shades of Greys, up to non-fiction stuff about Israel. Obviously, there's a lot of that, and then some of the hottest, most up-to-date literary fiction you can find there as well. And I might try and put a little video that I took. I don't know how it came out, but if I work out how to edit that in here, I'll put that in here as well. found at least one book, and the price is also fabulous, almost everything there, all the new books, it's a second-hand bookshop, but all the books there were selling for 10 shekel, which is, I guess, around £2.20, what is it, $3 maybe, something like that, so around about that price. So that's everything, and they have one small section of stuff that they talk of as relatively new books, 2018, 2019, 2020, although they weren't super strict about that, and those go for a little bit more. But so I actually found there a brand new hardback unread copy of Susanna Clarke's Piranesi, which I would have bought had I not already purchased it instead of £3 for £10, and it's sitting at my mum's house in London waiting for me for the last 3 months. So that was kind of frustrating. But the difference is that normally when I buy books online, I can buy whatever I want. When I go to a second-hand bookstore, you are at the whim of what they have on the shelves, and so your criteria for choosing books are changed. And so the 4 books that I'm going to show you are all books that have been on my radar that I have never purchased. Does that mean I didn't want to read them? Am I not going to enjoy the reading experience? No, I think for each of these 4 books that I pulled the trigger on and bought for these relatively cheap, I'm happy to have them, and I'm happy to read them and put them on my shelf. But there's always that nagging feeling that I didn't buy them until now, and only because I was there. The other limiting factor is the shop is that the volunteer, lovely lady in the store who was working there told me she didn't have any change, so that I had only a 50 shekel note, and the books were 10 shekel each, and one of the ones I bought was 15 shekel. It was on that special pile, so I had to get as close to possible to 50, and it's going to charity anyway, so my book came to 45 shekel, and I gave the 50 shekel note and walked out without any change. But yeah, so all the criteria for choosing books is very different to what I normally do when I'm surfing and I have endless possibilities, and so I picked up all 4 of these books, which will all be familiar to you. So anyway, enough blab. I will take you through the books that I bought today and do a book haul in a way that I said I would never do a book haul. What I will not do probably is read the blurbs of these books, but I might tell you a little bit about what I know about them or the authors. So the first one, this is tie into my recent video about movie tie-ins. I picked up a movie tie-in edition of If Beale Street Could Talk, which is the oldest book of the selection that I bought, but because this is a recent edition, this cost me more than the others, because this was something I've got a lovely glare off my head. That's beautiful. 1 second. Oh, that's just smashing. Anyway, that's what happens when you get to a certain age. Well, my hair glares less, but my forehead is full of glare. So this has got some nasty little coffee stain on the cover. I might even take a damp rag to that. But so I've read one other James Baldwin. I read one of his non-fiction books, very slight book, The Fire Next Time, which I thought was absolutely first class, and I want to read more James Baldwin. I thought I would probably read more of his non-fiction, but then I found this. It's 200 pages. I didn't see the movie, so I don't mind having a movie tie-in, as I've mentioned before. Who cares? I picked it up. It's going on my list. I'm going to read that. The next book that I have here is The Dutch House by Anne Patchett, which is, I think, this should have been on the recent publications. I think this is like 2018, 2019. I've only read one Anne Patchett, which was Bel Canto, and I didn't read Anne Patchett for many years because I figured, I had in my mind that she was kind of middlebrow, which is a horrible thing to say about any author or any set of work, because, highbrow, kind of know where that is, and lowbrow, like a bit of lowbrow, trashy stuff as well. Middlebrow is the part where, we get to be most snobby about. But then the people whose opinions that I respected kept talking about how great Bel Canto was, and I picked up a gorgeous edition, reprint of it, which was picked up secondhand, but it was a lovely, lovely volume, and terrific. It was a really sort of rompy read with some genuine thought and some classy writing, and really enjoyed it. And I heard good things about this, so I picked this up. One thing that is making me second guess myself, we're going to do a bit of play book blurb bingo as well, and I'll get to this. So this one has, on the back cover, there are 3 blurbs, one from the New York Times, one from the Financial Times, and then Jojo Moyes. Now, I've never read any Jojo Moyes. It just doesn't really seem like the kind of thing that I would want to read. Although I did go to college with Jojo Moyes. She was a perfectly lovely young lady, as she was back then in 1992. But so sorry, Jojo, I haven't read any of your books, and it's not you, it's me. But I think, when publishers choose the authors they're going to put or asked to blurb and then put in the blurb, they're aiming for a certain kind of audience. I'm not sure if I'm in Jojo Moyes' audience, so that makes me a little bit nervous. But you know what? I'm going to give another. There's a note in the back of here. What was that? 1 second. Oh, look at that! Someone's little post-it notes they put in the back of there. Jill, slow but well written. Cynthia, not especially well written, and the last chapters were amateurish and unbelievable after the whole storyline went in completely opposite direction. But I wasn't put over as a superb prize ending, just a poorly concocted disappointment. And then someone else said, enjoyed most of the book, agree with Cynthia, the surprise ending disappointment. Well, that is clearly been handed around and in some kind of local book group, and I'm assuming that was here in Israel. I'm wondering if I even know Jill and Cynthia. We're not a big community of British people, but that's fabulous. I love that. That's that was a nice find. So that's The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. The third book I picked up was Olive Again by Elizabeth Short. Elizabeth Short. Now that was Freudian. If you know who Elizabeth Short is, different person altogether. This is by Elizabeth Strout. I read Olive Kittredge. I think won the Pulitzer Prize, one of the big US prizes. Olive Kittredge is fantastic. But then I read My Name is Lucy Barton, which is a slight slim novel, which I really didn't. After the joy of Olive Kittredge is 5-star fab, and My Name is Lucy Barton I didn't really get on with, and kind of sort of soured me on Elizabeth Strout, and so didn't pick up. Even though I loved Olive Kittredge, I love a series, I love revisiting characters, I did not pick up Olive Again when it came out, and which is a shame. And but then I found this love for the lovely naked hardback. Even though I got the first one in, I think, an American paperback. This is fantastic. This is a British naked hardback of Olive Again. So I'm looking forward to diving into that. Blurbed by, we've got The Observer, and then we have Hilary Mantel. That's classy. And then we have Maggie O'Farrell. I have not read Maggie O'Farrell, although I was in school with her husband. But I think I will get to Hamlet at some point. But they had a bunch of Maggie O'Farrell books in the shop as well. I just haven't been tempted necessarily. Anyway, that's Olive Again by Elizabeth Strout, not Elizabeth Short, and this is great. So looking forward to that. And our winner today of Book Blurb Bingo is Less by Andrew Sean Greer, which is another Pulitzer Prize winner. If Olive Kittredge did win the Pulitzer Prize. And this was billed to me as a comic novel, which is not something that necessarily attracts me to a book. I believe I have a reasonable sense of humour. I'm just not a big fan of things, of comic writing, deliberately comic writing. A lot of it leaves me cold. So I didn't pick this up, but I had to buy another book, and I thought, people say so many good things about it. It's a nice size thing. This will be a whiz through, and I'll pick that up now. Let's look at the blurbs. We have up here at the top Armistead Maupin, giving it some clear LGBT cred. I've read the first 6 of the Tales of the City novels, and Maybe the Moon. So I've got 6 books by Armistead Maupin, like him very much. Anne Patchett is blurbing it. We just had an Anne Patchett book, and I've read Belcanto, so we're 2 for 2. Down here we've got Nell Zink. I read one novel by Nell Zink called Mislaid, which I liked very much. According to Nell Zink's Wikipedia entry, at some point in her career, before she was a late arrival as a novelist. I think only started publishing in her 40s. She'd been writing before. At some point in her 20s, she lived and worked in Israel, according to Wikipedia. So I don't know if I ever crossed paths with her. I've been here 25 years, but she worked in high tech. And anyway, That's Zink. So 3 for 3. Garry Steingart, a great one. Garry Steingart, by his own admission, will blurb anything. I met Garry Steingart at the Jerusalem Writers' Festival and asked him to sign my copy of his book Absurdistan, and given that he said he would write anything anyone asked, I told him to sign it and declare it a wittier confederacy of dunces, which is talking of comic novels that left me cold. That was one. Absurdistan I thought quite funny. Anyway, so 4 for 4 on the front cover. I've read books by all of these, and I've met Garry Steingart. On the back we have New York Times book review, and then we have Karen Joy Fowler, we're all completely beside ourselves. It's a terrific, terrific book. Recommend that. And down the bottom, Adam Hazlitt, who I've also read his book Imagine Me Gone, which of the 5 that I've read, that's the one I probably like the least. It's one of those books as therapy novels where really he's writing about what he's going through, and we have to read 450 pages of really what should be a conversation between him and his therapist. Nothing wrong with that. I'm saying go through, the catharsis, the outlet for one's feelings is valid. It just, for me, it doesn't work so well as a novel. It may have worked better for the author. Anyway, so absolute book blurb bingo, 6 named authors blurbing this, and I've read books by all of them. So today's winner is Less by Andrew Sean Greer. Looking forward to that. So that is my book haul, and that, I think, is 15 minutes of books. Plenty for anyone. I had some other things to talk about. Maybe I'll make another video. Thank you very much. Ta-ra.